So hi, Gina Chimesi, Psychic PRN. My videos where I talk about anything, everything mental health, self-education, and self-improvement videos. Today I'm going to talk about signs that you can change people. You can change people around you. So I have 4 points to talk about how if you're relying on wanting or expecting to change people, it might not happen and you're wasting your time and you're just going to keep scratching your head and waiting, and that will never happen, and your life is so short and you're wasting it. So think about a time where you were in the presence of someone and you felt like your stomach was churning, you were sweating in your palm, you felt really nervous. You didn't feel like, every time you walk away in the presence of that person, you don't feel like yourself. You walk away feeling like, oh my God. It just makes you feel like they just diminished you, right? They just made you feel not so great about yourself. So when you cringe, your nervous system is telling you something about that relationship. Sometimes our brain try to override it, but your body, your stomach, your body, your shoulders might be tight, your neck, you might be sweaty. All those signs are signs that your nervous system is trying to tell you, oh, this is not great. So one, you have to enforce boundaries, right? You have to try to enforce boundaries are one of the trickiest things. So you enforce it, continue to enforce it, and continue. People might not like it because now this is the new you. Because the way you might be used to being, it's not the same way you are right now, right? Because now you have all these boundaries. Like, oh my God, when I knew Gina, she was this and that. Now look at her, she thinks she's all that. Yeah, sometimes it's okay to be all that because you value your mental health, right? So enforcing boundaries and making sure you enforce by one of the ways you can enforce boundaries, like let's say phone calls. You don't accept phone calls at a certain time of the week because you want to have your me time. You want to, decompress from the heavy work day. You don't want to be talking on the phone at that time, so put your phone on do not disturb. And somebody has a problem with it, that's a person who does not respect boundaries. They need to be able to respect the boundaries enough to say, hey, I saw that your phone was on silence, but can we talk at so and so time? So can I arrange it rather than making you feel like they see your boundary there, but they call you like 10 times. It's like, do you not see that my phone is on? Do you not see that after the 1 or 2 calls, I'm not picking up? That might mean that maybe I'm not available, maybe I'm doing something. You leave me a message, text me, I might call you back. But calling me 5 times to kind of make me pick up the call, it just makes the person feel guilty, uncomfortable. It's like you're forcing them. So you see the sign, not respecting the sign that says do not disturb, and still knocking anyway. It's like sign says do not disturb, sign says do not knock, so you don't knock. That doesn't make me a bitch. That doesn't make me a bad person. That doesn't mean I'm just creating those boundaries. So just respect the boundaries, and the relationship, or whatever relationship it is, will flourish better. 2, don't normalize toxic behaviors. You have to start to acknowledge what abuse is and toxic tendencies are. What are you loyal to? Are you being loyal to abuse? And if you ask yourself, is this healthy? Is this relationship healthy? Is it healthy? If you ask yourself that, and you in your quietness, your meditation state, and you're like, ugh, I kind of acknowledge that this is not feeling good. This is kind of like abuse, because sometimes abuse is not obvious. It certainly can be very, slow crawl to it. But when you see the little signs, the little red flags, don't wait till the big red flag get waved. So 2 is don't normalize toxic behavior, especially in our culture. We normalize so many toxic behavior, especially from our partners or male partners. Like, oh yeah, that's what men do. They behave that way. Men always cheat. Oh, it's okay. He doesn't beat you. He pays some of the bills, so you just take it. If it's calling your name, if it's giving you the silent treatment, if it's not engaging you, if it's just because for the sake of being in marriage, you're gonna die early. All right. Know that some family members will not accept you or accept your point of view. So you might need to manage your expectations. So that's my third point, that you can change people. And then if you're getting into, like, let's say a relationship, a marriage, you're dating, you know that your mother-in-law might not accept you, your sister-in-laws, your brother-in-laws, your in-laws, some family members might not accept you as you are, especially if you have boundaries and you're really self-aware, you're coming in and they're comfortable in your toxic natures and everything. So you have to come in managing your expectations and your point of views, and know you can't change them. You don't also go in trying to, like, okay, I'm cutting this person off, cutting that person off, cutting that person off. You can make a point to make an arrangement, have a meeting, talk about it. And these are very important when you're dating, the dating phase. Like your mother-in-law, you see certain things, you can tell it's going to be a clash or a competition or a negative, toxic thing going to be happening. Some of this stuff I wish I knew when I was dating to have gone over. Having a discussion, say, hey, listen, mom, I really feel this and that, but if you're going to move forward, this is what I think might work better. Instead of deflecting it all on maybe your partner, say, hey, maybe go talk to your mother. Go talk to her. I don't like the way your mother is. Then it's going to start, causing conflict within your guys' dynamic. And the fourth one is, don't allow yourself to be taken advantage of. They might not be happy with the way that might be doing things, but because you have more insight, you're more self-aware, and they might not like that. They're more, like I said, they're comfortable being the way they are. You might view as being toxic, but they are fine. That's how their family is, generations of it. You're going to drive yourself crazy trying to change that. So it's either you manage your expectations, set those boundaries, know what you can tolerate and not tolerate, little exposures, and move on with it. So don't allow yourself to be taken advantage of, though. And that the only way you can do that is by setting boundaries and continue to have those boundaries in place, and without being a bitch about it, but respectfully so. So those are the 4 points I want to put out there about dating, relationships, and the fact that you can change people, and making sure that you're not loyal to abuse and you're not normalizing toxicity. We need to start working in our cultures to not normalize toxic relationship, abusive relationship, in romantic relationship, workplace, in our churches, in our church communities, in our church leadership, to not normalize toxicity, not normalize dictatorship. We need to start talking about this stuff, because if you don't disrupt the status quo, there will not be change. The only way change can happen is to be able to be bold and courageous enough to disrupt the status quo and see where it goes. One little voice at a time. You might not be able to change the whole world, but for the little that you're able to do in your corner can make a difference, or can start to cause a ripple effect of change that can happen, maybe not now, but maybe in the future, right? So it's breaking generational curses, breaking generational traumas, and making some degree of change in the journey of what you are doing here as adulting, as doing life, and leaving a legacy of change, and not being a wimp and just going with the flow, or just for the sake of being afraid to disrupt. So for me, that's my little point to add to that. So like I always say, if you can whip it in your mind, you can whip it everywhere else in your life. And until my next video, I'll catch you. Please leave me a question, a comment, send me a message, give me a thumbs up, subscribe to my channel. It'll be awesome. I'll catch you.